So then if this is our wisdom in the midst of these times, and if this is our practice that grounds us in the wisdom, that sustains us through these times, then in the light of this wisdom and in the light of this practice, then what light does it shed on the nature of death? Specifically, what is it that makes death trustworthy? I'd like to begin first, again, at a psychological level first, with this kind of classical work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in The Stages of Dying. And she said what she found in working with many dying people over the years is that when a person enters into the process of dying, some terminal process, they go through these stages, beginning first with denial. You can't believe it's true. To thee, to thee, to thee, but never to me, she says. And then there is an anger over the loss. And then you try to strike a bargain that if you spare me or spare the beloved, I'll do this and this and this and this. When the bargaining doesn't work, we go into a depression. And out of the depression, we can come to acceptance. Not everyone comes to acceptance. And so my first insight is that the first 4 stages of dying refer to the ego. It's a very natural process of our consciousness of ourself in our egohood, realizing that it's falling asunder, like it's ceasing to be. But if we ride that out, we come to acceptance. And she says to be in the process of acceptance, of someone who's come to acceptance, she says they're not happy. She said, but they pass beyond the dualism of happiness and sadness. And I would put it this way: to gaze into the face of the dying loved one, you get a sense that you're looking into the gate of heaven. You get a sense of the deathless beauty of the beloved. Gabriel Marcel, we know we've learned to love someone when we've seen in them that which is too beautiful to die. And so the beloved who's dying is bearing witness to our heart, to the deathless beauty of the beloved as they pass away into the mystery of death, that leaves their deathless beauty present, fully present, but hidden in the midst of the world, in the midst of our life, in the midst of God. And here I'm sharing too my own. See, I think because death is always personal. It's one thing to think of it as a fact, but it's personal. It's our death or the death of the loved one. And when my beloved wife, Maureen, who just died recently, I keep on the mantle here in our living room our wedding vows that we did 30 years ago. And these were our wedding vows. I, James Finley, take you, Maureen Fox, from this day forward to love, cherish, and care for till death do us part. I vow to you my honesty and vulnerability day by day, walking our walk into all our unknown tomorrows. I know that to grow, I must continue dying, and it is you I choose to live and die with, head to head, toe to toe, soul to soul, this day and forever. This day, I vow to accept this call. And I realized as I'm in the midst of this grieving process, I couldn't stand the pain of saying to her, I loved you so much. I realized it's much softer and truer to say, not that I loved you so much, but that I love you so much, that your dying has not stopped me from loving you. And I also know that in dying, you were not annihilated, but consummated. And in your last breath, you crossed over into the oceanic oneness of the love of God, beyond the edges of the universe, yet closer to me than I am to myself. I also know that in our years together, we knew that we were in the body together. We recognized this deathless beauty in each other, the deathless beauty of God and our love for each other. So Saint Mictel de Magberg, she prayed to God. God said to her in prayer, do not fear your death, for when that moment comes, I will breathe in my breath, and your soul will come to me like a needle to a magnet. And therefore, death is trustworthy, because the heart, born of love, has glimpsed the deathless beauty of ourself, grounded in the deathless love of God. Thomas Merton has a lovely little prayer to God. He says, you who sleep in my breast are not met with words, but in wisdom within wisdom, within dispossession within dispossession. That is, we are dispossessed by death of the beloved. We are dispossessed. And in that deep dispossession, we fall down into this enrichment of a deathless beauty that cannot be explained or calculated. And as a final thought, I really wonder if we look at our life in this way, if they're not dress rehearsals for death. For look how often in life we find ourselves caught up in a hurting habit of our heart, often formed in trauma and abandonment, habits of addiction, habits of resentment, habits of anger, habits of fear, habits of intimacy avoidance, habits of this kind of litany. And we realize that in order to be free, we have to die to those habits. But we're bonded to what traumatizes us. But with love and with courage and with grace, as we work through, we fall into this enriched plenitude in which we're born out of that death that we never would have experienced had we not gone through that. And we go through life over and over and over and over again, so that our death is the kind of the grand finale of the ultimate victory of love over all forms of suffering and death. And I think it's this that makes death trustworthy. It's for us as Christians. It's Jesus' death on the cross, to the words of the thief who's being crucified with him. You remember me when you come into your kingdom. This day you'll be with me in paradise. And so everything perishes in death. But in the falling away of death shines forth the deathless love that never dies in our heart. And that's what makes our death trustworthy.